guys ready? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever and wherever you are joining us from. We are more than happy to have you. This is the first pilot episode of King and Rouse, Tell It Like It Is. I'm your host, Chad Rouse, alongside my partner, Andrew King, and our special guest today, the SAU student, Kyle Rennan. For those of you who don't know what this show is, this is a vlog, podcast, web show, whatever you want to call it. We are here to discuss your issues at Spring Arbor University, along with the important ones around us, and also dive a little bit into the entertainment industry, as we often will give ratings to the new musical and movie-based products and pilots that come out. So diving right into our first issue, gentlemen, we are here to talk about your open hours, Spring Arbor University.
That's right.
But before we get started, Andrew, why don't you explain to everybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, what open hours are at this school?
So you know how when you're at secular college, you can just go over to your significant other's room and have sex with them? Mm-hmm. Spring Arbor is a little bit different. If you want to see your significant other, you have to go over to their room at designated times. There has to be a shoe in the door lengthwise. A man shoe, no baby shoe crap, or if your girl has some of those Pinocchio feet, none of those. You have to have a light on. It doesn't have to be the overhead light, but you have to have some sort of light on. And you also have to have all of your feet on the floor. So this happens twice during the week and then twice over the weekend.
Mm-hmm. Basically, what we're trying to get at is there are certain people would call it a violation of privacy. Other people say it's basically an insurance package to make sure there's no horizontal time being spent. Netflix and chill at Spring Arbor is actually watching Netflix and chilling, which is incredible to some of you, I know, but that's really what happens. And our special guest, Kyle, here, has actually been with his girlfriend at the time through the entire open hours process, all the way up to eventually getting married, but they had to deal with this process in their relationship, and that's actually what helped kind of give it the foundation that it has. So why don't you tell us more about that, Kyle?
All right, yeah. Well, I really like open hours. I think it's a great idea. And just to give a little background about that is I was homeschooled first, so I had the watch of my mother over me. And then so there's no Netflix and chill there.
Before Netflix.
Yeah, before.
This is when Netflix was, they took a DVD and then had somebody run it to your house.
Yeah. So yeah, it was homeschool, then private Christian school for elementary, up to middle school, and then private high school.
Wow.
Private Christian high school, that is, and then of course, private Christian
so
college.
You know a lot about privates.
Yeah. Expert in that. Not with homeschool.
No, not at all. Not even close.
So with that kind of background, something like open hours isn't crazy to me. In fact, it's like what I was expecting, something that I hoped actually, because with all the private Christian schooling that I had, it was normal that everybody was, or at least most people were, agreeing to these set of standards, these set of rules that we thought were valuable and moral.
Now, what would you say to someone who approached you from an entirely different background of, I've never had to follow these rules, why should I follow these rules? What would you say to someone who came at you with that?
I think a big part of it is just what are you expecting when you come here to Spring Arbor? Because that's something that's like obvious when you come here. We are a community of learners, and we're here because we agree on this lifestyle and these rules. And so I think like the first thing I'd say there is just like, well, this is what we've agreed to as a community, and I don't want to be like too harsh, like if you don't like it, get out, because part of what it means to be here and to learn is to grow, have discussion, have
to grow and develop.
Yeah. But I think the heart of it is like what are you wanting when you want to be alone with somebody like that? And I think that opens up a broader discussion about what a healthy relationship looks like and what it means to be saving yourself from marriage and the importance of abstaining from sex before marriage.
Yeah. I have a question for Chad that's piggybacking off his question.
Go ahead.
Which is, you came from sort of the opposite background as Kyle, with no supervision growing up.
Absolutely. I mean, I had supervision. I know my mom's going to watch this. I definitely had supervision, but just because you have supervision doesn't mean you follow rules.
Right.
And as a person, man, I've always pushed my limits a little bit, for better and for worse. And I came from a lot of people who will watch this. You didn't have any of this kind of system, so you kind of did what you did. You know what I mean? You did a little dirt. That's the way we put it in the streets. But the way that it works is when you have to adjust, you have to have a motivation that is bigger than lust, and you have to have something, a motivation that's big, more on your plate than just, I guess we'll just hang out and watch a movie. And the key here, you made a great point, Kyle, is that when you come here to this school, you have to know what you're looking for. And for a lot of college students who are coming in as freshmen, they have no idea who they are. You know what I mean? Let alone trying to find somebody else.
Yeah.
And so the problem is when you have an incoming freshman who don't have a clue about their own identity, they get mixed up in all this kind of stuff. And especially at bigger schools, you get mixed up with people that you have no idea who they are either. And then you're in some situationship, as we call them. So to kind of wrap up this part of the discussion, I think that if you can create good expectations for yourself of what you want in a woman or a man, and you're willing to, adjust a little bit and kind of, make some hard adjustments in your life.
Yeah, because, if you think about it, open hours isn't hurting anything.
No.
It's not going to hurt your relationship.
No,
Right.
not at all.
So if you can just postpone what you want.
And
it
as
could
we
possibly
see
help.
with our special guest, it can definitely be worth it. So,
Right. So if
open
you,
hours is not is it a right or a wrong thing? We don't know.
Yeah, maybe just be gray. Tell us what you think. Tell us all 50 shades of gray of open hours down in the comments section. We want to hear from you. So Chad, you were saying open hours is helpful because freshmen coming in don't really know who they are. We're going to be talking about two men who know very well who they are, and those men are Vermont Senator, Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders, and billionaire businessman and hair guy Donald Trump, the Donald. So Chad, you cheer for Bernie. What are you thinking?
Here, I don't think we're here to get too much into policy. We are not political experts by any stretch of the imagination. We don't claim to be political experts, you know what I mean? We're not going to come on here and debate policy, because let's be honest, guys, policy doesn't win elections. It doesn't. It has not won an election for a long time. Popularity and PR wins elections.
Yeah.
And if you look at, I think what's so interesting about Bernie is if you look at the way he's gone about his business, we're in a brand new time for what it means to run a campaign. We are in a time where, because of social media, because of the young Democratic and Republican audience, and the shift of the paradigm of voters as these young people start to move into these middle ages where they're going to start voting more and more, this brand new generation coming into the voting polls, this is a completely different time than I could ever remember, where some dark horse candidate comes out of nowhere with all this charisma just because he's being honest and saying things that people can relate to.
Yeah.
It's not millions of dollars. He doesn't even work with big corporations because he doesn't want their money. I've never seen anybody do it this way with all this positivity. And it also, what it puts in my mind is that voters still care about the character of their president, and that's a very important thing.
Right. I think more than anything, switching to the other candidate, Donald Trump has changed the game, and he's changed the way that we're going to do politics probably for the foreseeable future.
Agreed.
So Donald Trump, Bernie Sanders have both been sort of cast as the anti-candidate. Bernie has a lot of political experience, but he's different. He's old.
Socialist.
Yeah, he's a socialist.
Yeah.
He's loud. Donald Trump, on the other hand, like a couple other people in the Republican Party, have zero political experience. And so you see, it's sort of an election much more informed by reality TV than by sort of what candidates like Marco Rubio, Chris Christie, Jeb Bush are used to. It's not an election of kissing babies. It's been called, and I think it's accurate, the Snapchat election.
Yeah, it's crazy. And Kyle, coming from your background, you know what I mean. You have these candidates where you don't know who to trust. It's kind of it's this big smoke and mirrors run on each side. And for you, for both these candidates, Hillary, the rest, what's been the biggest factor that's pushed you one way or another with this giant smoke and mirrors PR run that both have made on all the big news sites all over the internet? What's been the one thing for you that has pulled you in one way or another?
It's a hard question.
Who are you liking right now? By the way, does it have to be Trump or Bernie?
Doesn't have to be either one.
I think as like a person, purely as a person, not necessarily like a candidate. I like Ben Carson. He seems like a nice guy. And he seems like somebody who's relatable. Also, Bernie Sanders. I feel like he's sort of like a grandpa. He's like, man, I would want to spend an afternoon with him or something like that.
Yeah, he's
Bernie.
loud. He's loudmouth.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to say what he thinks. And it seems like he really cares about people.
Yeah.
I don't know that socialist policies are necessarily the best way to go about giving the people what they need. But I definitely like the character. I definitely like the personality. He's sort of irascible.
Right. But as far as who I'm thinking about candidate-wise and voting, it's really hard to say right now. It's so far out. I like Rubio. He seems like a smart guy and
I would love to see Rubio
competent.
get the nomination.
Yeah.
I think that's, at this point, though, if we're being real about it, a lot of people are thinking that Trump and Hillary are going to pull away with the nominations, just based out of the name and just based out of the fact that they are. And the saddest part about it is, as you look at the way the media portrays these two giant figures, they like the controversy and they like the not even the positive appeal, but the negative appeal. They like that too, because negative appeal still gets hits.
Right.
And when you look at the way that, like, if you look at the Democratic convention that was, 2 weeks ago now, a week and a half ago, however it went down, Hillary was getting more time than the rest of the candidates. And when she would simply agree with the things other candidates were saying, she'd still get the love from,
people would cheer
CNN. Why? Because CNN it works with Time Warner, who was a huge backer for Hillary Clinton. That's a whole other spiel. Point being, the media is trying to push these two figures above the rest.
Right.
You know what I mean? Is that fair? No. But the point being made is that the fact that Bernie can combat that in a time like this with just by being a genuine person is pretty impressive for a candidate who came out of nowhere.
It's great. So tell us what you think. If you like Trump, tell us in the comment section. If you like Hillary, tell us. If you're tired of hearing about it, emails. Tell us in the comment section.
Moving on to our last topic, we are here to talk music, one of our most passionate things we talk about here on the set. For those of you who don't know, your host here is a hip-hop connoisseur, and these guys have been in the hip-hop scene for a little while as well. And if you haven't been listening to Chance the Rapper or Donnie Trumpet and the Social Experiment, you need to start. The free album, didn't cost you a thing.
Download it now.
Album Surf was put out a few short months ago, and Chance just followed that up with his new video, Family Matters, where he remixed Kanye West's Family Business at a concert. And the appeal, the applause from that, the response was so well received, they made a video for it. And guys, we were talking about a rapper who is bringing positive vibes and positive lyrics every time he steps up to the mic. And this is not gangster rap. We've moved out of that era. This is not the braggadocio Drake type sound that is just catching waves, the Fetty Wap Drake kind of sound. This is something all its own. And it is not about being a gangster. It's not about taking over the rap game. It's not even about being the best at anything. It's just about being positive, living your life, and spreading good vibes. And my question to you guys is this a sound that can last? And is this a sound that's going to catch on with the rest of the music scene? Because a lot of rappers don't want to step out of their comfort zone and, talk about anything but themselves. A lot of rappers do not want to be this vulnerable. It's very vulnerable to put out records that use horns and piano and, gospel choirs and stuff like that, because you're going to sound soft. So is this a sound that's going to catch on?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I think in the mainstream, you sort of see the movement away from this sort of vulnerability. Drake's past two albums have been less and less vulnerable, especially, if you're reading this, it's too late.
Absolutely.
Almost no vulnerability on that album. It's all worst behavior, hard Drake. So I think it's interesting.
Except for maybe Jungle, but that's just, he's talking about girls. He can always do that.
You and the Six.
Yeah.
Where he's talking about his mama.
But he's still going
even then he says, I'm Game of Thrones.
With it, mama.
I'll cut the throat with it, mama.
He's still going in.
So it's interesting that sort of in the underbelly, because I mean Donnie Trumpet, Chance the Rapper, not big names. They're sort of moving in the opposite direction. It's getting a following, mostly because the music is so well done, and because I think a lot of people need the positivity more than they need the negativity and put downs they usually find in rap. And I mean, I love rap, but it can wear on you after a while.
It can, because it's not as relatable as it used to be. You know what I mean? There's the exceptions, but most rap is not very relatable unless you're in a club or in a dance scene or at a party nowadays. And that's just the truth of the matter. Because people don't relate to our old school AZ, Nas type rappers. But it's hard to relate to people talking about diamonds and gold and everything
making
else.
Their millions.
Right.
Doing shows every night.
Used to just be about rolling through the six in my 6'4".
Oh man,
I haven't heard a song about 6'4s in forever, dude.
Yeah, that's good stuff. But Kyle, for you, I mean, you're not just a rap guy. So how appreciative is it to have a guy pulling sounds from jazz and blues and rock everywhere else and pulling all these into the rap scene?
Yeah. Well, with a broad appreciation for a lot of different genres, rap holds a special place in my heart. I really love rap. Actually, it was a rap song that inspired me to recommit my life to Christ at one point in my life.
Something about Lecrae, right?
It was a Lecrae song.
It was Christian rap, but it still counts. It still counts.
It was Lecrae. So I really love what they're doing with it, and I really love the way they're almost redeeming rap. They're bringing it into a place where people can connect to it, and it's done in a beautiful way, and it's fun.
It is fun. It's a lot of fun. Get the album. It's free.
a lot of rap nowadays, which again, like Andrew said, I love it. It sort of like machismo, It's sort of like build yourself up, like I'm the man kind of thing, and I think that can alienate a lot of people because it's honestly I think a lot of it finds its source in sort of like a insecurity. I think a lot of big rappers who talk so big, talk big because they might be insecure.
Yeah, I mean, I think you see the opposite with Chance the Rapper.
Yeah,
because he's willing,
he's
to be
willing to
vulnerable.
put himself out there.
He's building. It's a team. It's a group.
Yeah.
It's a group project.
They
It's a
support
social
each other.
experiment. Yeah.
There are just some great themes throughout the album. I think it's something beautiful done when an album is done with a full concept. A lot of albums,
a full story, a full project, a body of work that doesn't stray all over the place. Absolutely. Well, wrapping it up, we will put the link in the bio for Surf. It's free, so why don't you take a listen, get in the comment section, tell people what you think. If you want to broaden your horizon as a person, not just as a listener, please listen to the album. It will inspire you to do great things. The first time I heard it, I wanted to end world hunger.
Yeah.
So
I recommitted my life to Christ when I heard it. It's on iTunes. It's on DatPiff. It's probably on SoundCloud. It's on YouTube. Chad's mom has it on vinyl. Go over
all
to
the
her
time.
house.
You want
Talk
to
to
come
her.
over to the house,
All right.
spin some records, you know what I'm saying?
Dude.
Trump loves it. It's
But,
huge.
no,
Yeah.
Trump probably does not love it. Bernie loves it, though.
We're tired of hearing about this album.
All right, guys. Well, it's a pleasure to have you as always. For my partner, Andrew King, and our guest, Kyle Rennan, I'm Chad Rouse. This is King and Rouse. Tell it like it is. Catch us next time next week.
So long.
Take it easy.
Yep.
Dude, so podcasted.
It was so hot.